Have you ever wanted to make genuinely incredible homemade ice cream, but thought, ugh, I don't have an ice cream machine? Well, guess what? You don't need one. Today, we're uncovering the secret to making amazing ice cream with no machine, no churning, and basically no fancy equipment at all.
And I know what you're probably thinking. Is it actually real ice cream? You know, not just some icy frozen block, but that creamy, scoopable stuff you get at a shop? The answer is 100% yes. And the method is so much simpler than you think.
So what's the big secret? It all comes down to this number right here, 2. That's it. Just 2 main ingredients are going to form the base for pretty much any no-churn ice cream flavor you could ever dream of.
And here they are, the dynamic duo. First, you've got heavy whipping cream. This is where all that beautiful air comes from, giving you a light, fluffy texture. Then there's sweetened condensed milk. This stuff brings the sweetness, sure, but it also gives it this rich, smooth consistency that totally mimics traditional ice cream. They're a real power couple.
Okay, so we have our ingredients. How do we turn them into something, well, magical? Let's get into the method. I promise, it's a simple, basically foolproof 3-step process.
Here is the entire game plan in just 3 words. Whip, fold, and freeze. That's the whole journey right there. So let's break down each step so you can nail it every single time.
First things first, we gotta whip the cream. Now listen up, because this is the single most important rule of this entire recipe. Your cream has to be cold. Not cool, but really truly cold, straight from the back of the fridge. Warm cream just won't whip up right. Pro tip, you can even chill your bowl and beaters for 10 minutes beforehand just to be extra sure. So, how do you know when to stop whipping? You're looking for something called stiff peaks. What does that mean? It means when you lift your beaters out of the cream, the little peak that forms stands up totally straight and holds its shape. It doesn't flop over or look sad. That's the sweet spot.
But be careful. There is a very fine line you're walking. On the left, that's perfection. It's smooth, it's holding its shape, it's beautiful. But if you whip for just like a minute too long, you get what's on the right. It starts to look grainy and separated. You're basically on your way to making butter. So the second you hit those perfect stiff peaks, stop.
Okay, our cream is perfectly whipped and full of air. We're just gonna gently set that aside for a minute and move on to part 2, creating the sweet base that's gonna carry all our delicious flavor.
So in a different bowl, you're just going to combine 1 can of that sweetened condensed milk, a couple teaspoons of vanilla. I am a huge fan of using vanilla bean paste to get those gorgeous little flecks in there, and a tiny pinch of salt. Give it a quick stir. That's it.
And hey, let's talk about that salt for a second. Whatever you do, do not skip it. It seems a little weird, right? But that tiny pinch of salt doesn't actually make the dessert salty. It does this amazing thing where it makes the sweet things taste even sweeter. It just rounds out the flavor. It's a total game changer, trust me.
All right, it is time for the magic to happen. This is where our 2 separate parts become one glorious ice cream base. And the most important word for this step is gentle. Seriously, be gentle.
Think about it. We worked so hard to whip all of that precious air into the cream. If you just go in there and stir like crazy, you're gonna knock all that air right out, and you'll end up with dense, icy ice cream. And nobody wants that. So that's why we fold.
So your goal here is to keep folding really gently. You use big sweeping motions, scraping from the bottom of the bowl and folding it up over the top. You keep going until you have a mixture that looks just like this. It's thick, it's silky, it's totally combined, and you don't see any streaks of white cream or condensed milk left. And look at that, the base is done. Now for the really fun part, the final stage. We're gonna freeze it and, of course, customize it to make it exactly what you want. This is where you can just go wild. You can gently fold in pretty much anything you can think of. Mini chocolate chips? Yep. Crushed Oreos? Of course. How about a swirl of caramel or strawberry jam? Or just a bunch of sprinkles? Fresh fruit? Go for it. The possibilities are totally endless. Okay, so once you've folded in your mix-ins, pour everything into a freezer-safe container. A loaf pan works great. And now, here is a huge pro tip. Take a piece of plastic wrap and press it directly onto the surface of the ice cream. This super simple trick is what stops those pesky ice crystals from forming, keeping your ice cream perfectly creamy. And now, for the hardest part of the entire recipe, the wait. It needs at least 6 hours in the freezer to get firm, but honestly, overnight is even better. Oh, and before you serve it, let it sit on the counter for about 5 minutes. That'll soften it up just enough so you can get those perfect, easy scoops.
After all that patient waiting, it is finally time for the payoff. The moment we've all been waiting for. The glorious, perfect scoop.
I mean, just look at it. Come on, it's absolutely perfect. The texture is so creamy, it's perfectly scoopable, and that flavor is just pure, rich vanilla. This is the real deal, and you made it. Right in your own kitchen. How cool is that?
You know, the best part about all of this is that what you've just learned isn't just a recipe for vanilla ice cream. Nope, it's the key. The simple 2-ingredient base is the foundation you can use to create basically any flavor you can imagine.
You want mint, chocolate chip, strawberry, coffee, cookies and cream? They all start with this exact same base. Once you've got this down, you've unlocked the secret to endless homemade ice cream flavors.
So that really only leaves one question. Now that you have the secret formula for perfect, easy, no-churn homemade ice cream, what flavor are you going to create first?